Lesson 4, Release. Today focuses on the unique way we move in Qigong. It's not like stretching or pushing the body in any way. We follow the method of pandiculation, which is an animal or cat-like movement. Think about a cat when it wakes up from being sedentary, and it might do an up dog or a down dog after waking up, or it might do some gentle pawing. It's the same way as a human yawns. Both of those are not stretching. Pandiculation is an unconscious sensory-led stretch that lengthens the muscles and the tissues just enough to release tension, yet not too much to create more tension. And it's a natural body process. We can actively use pandiculation in our conscious Qigong movements as a natural way to lengthen without forcing. To develop this, we need the skill of listening inwardly, feeling through our muscles and tissues as we move, and being conscious and responsive in our movements. And it honestly feels delicious in the body. And it helps pliability, lengthening your range of extension and releasing physical tension. This takes your Qigong practice from external movements that are choreography-led and a left brain experience, and into somatic movement that is awareness-led and a right brain experience. So let's make a start with an introduction to reaching and melting in our Qigong. Stepping into your Wu-Ji posture, bring the heels about a fist distance apart, softly bend the knees, softly bend into the hips and swim the spine upright. Take a few breaths before we step out. Sinking down, step the left foot out and bring the weight to the middle, finding that parallel stance. Knees aligning with the second toes, go through the alignment principles once again, and turning the elbow creases gently to the front as we swim the spine up and bring the chin towards the tips of the ears. Let's open the front of the spine, inhaling into the lower abdomen, the middle chest and through the sinuses. Exhaling, sinking the body down, swimming the spine upright, returning to neutral. Bringing your centers in one line. Inhaling and exhaling. Opening salutation. Expanding Qigong, sinking back into the hips as the arms round and raise up. As we're reaching and lengthening through, no force anywhere, just reaching to the top, expanding but not locking and not going into that tension, that freeze response. And then soften, melt as the hands slowly roll over down to the base. Inhale, raise up, rounding the arms, then reaching through, natural lengthening, finding your soft limits, opening, melting, softening, relaxing down. And one for kelp. So this is the ultimate of melting everywhere at once, all at the same time, swimming in the ocean. The ocean is moving you as the tide gently swells and draws in, softening, melting, reaching everything together at once, like you don't have any bones, just kelp in the ocean, softening through all of your tissues. And as the tide comes out, the kelp comes back down to settle at the base of the ocean into your Taiji stance. Bringing the palms into monkey holds cauldron, going through the wings of here and there. Pause for a moment, resetting your structure. Ripple through your arms, shoulders, elbows, wrists and fingers. And then we're going to start to lengthen out. And parts of the body are stretching away from each other, but lengthening and then melting as we come back down. Softening into monkey holds cauldron where we'll reset. Rippling softness through the arms. Then starting to put a gentle push from the heels of the palms through the heels of the feet. No tension, no force. Just this natural, responsive awareness in our lengthening. We're on that boundary, so we don't want to go so far that the body does this and we go into the freeze response. We want to lengthen through, soften through any tension and come up to that appropriate edge or that soft limit without crashing into it and kind of jumping from discomfort or pain. Then we melt and soften away from that by mobilizing and reset into softness at the base. Inhale as we raise up. Exhale to naturally lengthen like a cat-like animal movement, and then softening as the body releases. And it's almost like the body is an elastic band and you're playing with that elastic band in a rebounding way, not going super taut, not going super collapsed. You're just going through the top of the movement, about 80% of a lengthen, down to the base of the movement, about 20% of release. So never go into the exaggerations of 100 or 0, just feeling through the pliability in all of the tissues with an elastic, spiraling, rebounding quality. Rippling through, reaching naturally and then melting and softening to mobilize. Wise owl looks back at the moon, playing with our elastic lengthening in a spiraling way now, coming into embrace moon at chest. Drawing a little spiral to one side, and as you rotate the palms around and rotate the waist, no force but lengthen from the heels of the palms to the heels of the feet, and really feel into that pandiculation body, reaching and then melting will bring us back the other way. Looping the arms, being soft, reaching, almost like you're catching a boulder here, and then melting, softening through your spirals. Finding that boundary of tension and softening through that, natural lengthening, and then melting. So we're always playing with the opposites, and here we're being very deliberate about reaching first and then softening second. Spiraling through and then releasing. Playing with a bit of momentum, spiraling through and then releasing. Very cat-like. Now we're going to play with adding a little bit of tension, and do excuse me if I just yawn. I've obviously done that on purpose, so forgive my poor humour. Yawning is part of pandiculation. The body process for yawning is to tighten the muscles around the jaw, the neck, the upper back, the shoulders and the upper arms, and then slowly release, relax, let go and come back to neutral. And that's an involuntary contraction and release that in Qigong we can explore this consciously, and it's called progressive relaxation. And it's a way to disinhibit deeply held tension in the body by first imitating it, adding to it, before then progressively releasing it. So we'll come into our standing posture, our Taiji stance. Build your mountain from the ground up, ankles, knees, hips, spine, chin towards the tips of the ears, elbow creases towards the front. Just stand in your structure, maintain a softness in the muscles overall, a good alignment, spine swimming, and then hanging down from above. So using an internal spotlight, a little bit of awareness, I want you to find within your body somewhere a tight spot, an area of physical tension, and most people have a go-to spot. Mine is my right shoulder, and I always feel that my right shoulder's up by my ear. So once you've found your spot, and it doesn't matter where it is, bring your awareness to it and just feel into how the tension feels. Be the observer. And then with a tiny amount, you want to imitate it, exaggerate it. That's really obvious. And then relax, melt and soften. Take a breath in, imitate, exaggerate, almost contract, just like we do with yawning, but not so much that you go into a freeze response or discomfort. So a tiny exaggeration, and then melt, soften, release and let go. Inhale, imitate, exaggerate, map out the tension, observe. And then exhale, melt, soften, release through the body into the ground. And it might be a big physical action to start with, or you can work with the subtle and do this invisibly, inhaling to imitate, exaggerate, map out, and then exhaling to release, melt and soften. One more breath. Breathe into the tight, tense area, feel into it, sense it with your sensation awareness. Imitate, exaggerate, exhaling to relax, melt and soften. Do this over and over and over again. A great one to do in bed. So we can practice progressive relaxation, which is part of our principal song or fang song in Chinese, which means conscious relaxation or applied relaxation. We can take that into Qigong movement. Let's go into hands float on water, and we'll play with parting the clouds and progressive relaxation. Scooping the palms down, reaching and lengthening naturally, and then pause at the top in this posture. The hands are back to each other. Natural lengthening once again. Pause, and then bring your awareness now into your shoulders or your neck, that troublesome area for a lot of us. Imitate, exaggerate, map out And then on the exhale, soften, release, melt, and then mobilize. Softening down now through all of the joints, shoulders, elbows, wrists and fingers, and back to hands float on water. Completely soft in the shoulders, not up by the ears. And again. Spiraling through, reaching with our natural lengthening, and then pause, like you're yawning. Imitate, exaggerate, add to, and then melt, soften, let go, mobilize softly with a tiny little bit of kelp without it being kelp. You've still got your structure and your alignment. Scooping through. Pausing at the top. Imitate, exaggerate, and then a long exhale, melt, soften, release, mobilize. Palms to the sides, into our settling. And you can really take any Qigong movement and pause at the top of the movement, or the yang part of the move, the most expanded or lengthened, and really work on that imitate, exaggerate, and then melt and soften. And that's part of this reaching and melting principle. Inhale as the palms raise up. And then long exhale as the palms slowly settle down, releasing past the navel and into our closing.